Hey guys, I'm Ted here to give you another fast fact, and for this fast fact, we're going to look at the Munn case. Now, the Munn case was a 1877 Supreme Court case that was the first case to really bring the liberty of contract doctrine before the Supreme Court. Just a little hindsight, just a little background information. In 1877, the Republic was still largely feeling the effects of the Panic of 1873. A panic that saw farmers thrown off their land, that saw bankers repossess farms, that saw industrial workers thrown out of work. Really just causing a lot of social and economic turmoil in the Republic. Now, in Illinois, farmers, wheat farmers were growing irate, really becoming irate, due to the high prices, the high rates that they were being charged for grain storage in Chicago. Chicago was the largest city in Illinois. Chicago was really the hub of Illinois' economic activities. It still is really the hub of economic activities. One way to think of Chicago and Illinois is that most of Illinois is actually farmland, and a lot of people like to think of Chicago. The rest of Illinois has the countryside. You know, you live in Chicago and you enjoy that nice, rich Illinois countryside. Um, but these farmers, they were irate about the shipping rates and the storage rates for storing their grain in the city. And at this point, wheat poured into the city from the rail lines and was stored until it could be sold to bakers and millers, or until it reached its final long distance destination. Now, the farmers lobbied the state legislature to set a maximum price of 2 cents per bushel on grain storage. Now, the company of Munn and Scott, which was Chicago's largest grain storage company, refused to obey that law. They were convicted by the Illinois state courts. Their case went all the way to the Illinois Supreme Court. They were convicted of violating the grain storage price laws. The company then filed suit with the Supreme Court, arguing that the Illinois state legislature had passed a law that deprived them of their liberty to engage in business practices free from arbitrary interference from the state of Illinois. The company's lawyers pointed to Thomas Cooley's ideas as justification for their argument. The case was rejected. The Supreme Court rejected their argument, and they largely rejected Thomas Cooley's view, with Chief Justice Morrison Waite writing that for the majority opinion, he wrote for the majority opinion, and he wrote stating that the laws that were passed in Illinois were a reasonable regulation of a virtual monopoly of the grain storage business. The decision, this decision, really just sort of looked at a harbinger of things to come as far as the government's attitude towards business. You know, simply running amok, business run amok over the national economy, over the people of the republic. It wasn't to be. It wasn't to prove to be. Business was to get a very big sort of push, a lot of support from the court in years to come. But we'll get to that when we get to that. That's the fast fact of the day, the Munn case. The case rejected, the Supreme Court upholding the Illinois state law. Hit like, subscribe, and comment. Let me know what you thought about this law. Let me know what you thought about the arguments used by the lawyers of Munn and Scott, arguing for the law to be struck down. As always, I'm Ted. Hit like, subscribe, and comment, of course. And I'll see you guys next time for another fast fact.